Evening. Welcome to another episode of Healing in Ways You Never Thought Possible with your host, myself, Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner and medical intuitive. Today, we're going to talk about dimensional healing. And I know that's a little much of a stretch for a lot of people. But, we talk about the physical healing, the mental, emotional, and spiritual. But what about the dimensional? Dimensional, it means that it's everything inclusive and beyond. So maybe it's ancestral stuff, maybe it's stuff that we've come with through another lifetime in a place. But whatever it still is definitely part of who we are. And today's guest is a very special lady friend of mine. She is from Mount Shasta, one of my favorite places to go, but I'm going to introduce you to her. Her name is HaRuKo Blue Star Child, and she is a multidimensional artist, musician, and children's book author. She is what we call our angelic cheerleader, and offers her services such as soul essence portraits and private sessions. She's also the owner of the Blue Star Child Gallery in Mount Shasta, California. And if you haven't been to her gallery, it's a must-do if you go to Mount Shasta. It's amazing. As an artist, she has been channeling New Earth blueprints and sacred feminine designs and multidimensional light codes for 24 years. She is like a bridge between the dimensions to expand the mind and the heart of people. Through her art and music, she transmits the pure essence of the source and celestial frequencies to awaken our deep soul memories and remind us of our true essence of beauty, purity, innocence, and magnificence. And I'm so excited to have her here with us today. So let's welcome HaRuKo Blue Star Child. Hey,
Hello.
HaRuKo.
Thank you so much, Dolores.
You're so welcome. How are you today and what's been happening?
Oh, it's been ongoing, getting to know myself.
Ah,
How vast we are, so
yeah.
much more that we get to know every day. It's just infinite.
Oh, it's so true. And it's just like, and it just, you know, um, reiterates the fact that we are just more than our physical presence. We are so much more than that. And, tell us more about that.
Well, what I have been discovering, is that we are so multi-aspect, you know, being within this body, and even every cell of the bodies are, all consciousness too. So to really get to know ourselves, it's like the whole universe is inside of us. And I discovered through my art, as you have visited my gallery and witnessed my artwork.
Here's
That's her
mine.
soul essence
That's my
portrait.
soul portrait right there. Yes.
And yes, for example, the soul essence portrait I started to do, about 16 years ago, and when I was running out of the idea of the birthday gift for my friend. And I'm just gonna draw her. And once I tuned into her, I could discover different, more like a bigger aspect of her. I could feel her angelic aspect. I'm a feeler. I don't see, but I can feel. And it was really profound when I did that first soul essence portrait for my friend. And as I draw different world in dimensions, it's like you live there and you live there and you live there. It's like so many worlds that we live and exist. And so it's very complicated, who we are really. But comes down to it, we really need to pay attention to this body, which is the container of this whole aspect, you know, the divine aspect that we kind of forgot too, that we are infinite source light. And Also, we are multiverse, multi-aspected being, and bring that into this body and live it fully. That's a really a big challenge, and
Agreed.
mm-hmm.
We as human beings make it really complicated.
Right. And the most important thing really is really unconditional love, because there's the human aspect that still doesn't agree with those, big aspects, and still kind of, complaining sometimes, or being sad or being confused. Gotta really listen to that aspect so much more than before, I feel.
Yeah,
Because if you don't, then there's always a disconnect.
that's true.
And
It's
yeah.
almost like tuning into your inner wisdom and your inner knowingness.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And even those little emotions and little, human complaint and all of that has wisdom. It's like showing where you need to pay attention, and what wisdom you need to bring forth into that part of, that child or confused aspect, so that we can really, merge them together in harmony. And the medicine is really the unconditional love, patience, compassion, you know, all of the very much of uh, the loving attention that, we really haven't received from outside source so much. Many of us, many of our generation probably didn't receive so much of unconditional attention from parents or society.
Sorry about that. Something happened there. But
Okay.
you're saying the unconditional attention from parents and stuff like that. Tell us more
And
about that.
yeah, and we
Yeah.
have to give that to ourselves. you know
Yeah.
we have to be the ideal mother on the earth, an ideal universal mother who really can, merge all the aspects together.
Yeah. That's very true. Now, have I know that you and I have talked before and you've had an amazing life journey. Would you be open to sharing a little bit more about that, as how you got to do the work that you're doing right now? Because there's always a story behind that.
Right. Well, I started without knowing anything. So I was artist in the grad school, art graduate school, and started to draw rabbit. Like who would do that in an art graduate school, But I started that way, in such a silly way. But those rabbit figures on the sketchbook that I kept drawing, they I could feel that they were carrying some kind of message. I could feel that there's out of world, how do you say, out of this world.
Hmm. Not
Mm-hmm.
of this world, I guess, or out of
Right,
this world. Yeah. Yeah.
right. And so it got my attention, because that was the time I was getting tired of, working, just regular thing, working, going to school, having party with friends, and it just, there's so much depth that I was looking for, but I couldn't get into it.
Mm,
It was not the entrance point that I couldn't find, but the drawing was the entrance point for me. There was
right.
something that I was feeling in my heart, that this is something new. I like to explore more and more. So I kept on drawing. And that's how I discovered that, there are different worlds and dimensions.
Mm,
And through the imagination and creativity, and childlike play and genuine curiosity, was the key in a way to open that door to tap into the different world and dimensions.
yeah.
So for many, many years, I didn't know that I was doing it. Many, many years, I didn't know that I was channeling it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I received different confirmation from many people, and oh, that's what I'm doing. Oh, their story is very similar to my drawing, or channel some kind of ascended masters, for example, and I can feel that energetic signature, just like when I do your soul essence portrait.
Mhm.
I can feel your energetic signature. And so, it's been 26 years. So it took, for a while for me to really get to this point that, I am now sure that I am tapping into something, not this dimension, but we are coexisting, even though they are not really visible and obvious to us. But, more and more you pay attention, you can feel them in your heart, because that's where everything is connected. So,
Very true. That's very true. And, I feel like the heart is the brain, really, of existence,
mm-hmm,
and it all, because when you're in your heart space, you are in the present moment. When you're in the present moment, it's like everything's happening all at the same time. And so you have access to anything and everything, I feel. You're
yeah,
you're here, but you're everywhere,
mm-hmm,
right? I mean, is
mm-hmm,
is that similar to what you experience?
mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
there's the infinite space beyond time and space,
yeah,
inside of our heart.
yeah.
And yeah, and the
So
unconditional love just combine them all.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. And I think for many of us, it's sometimes it's a challenge to come to that place
Mm-hmm.
because I think we are pulled in so many different directions
Mm-hmm.
by a lot of distraction and noise on the outside.
Yes.
What's your take on the whole, the importance of grounding yourself and being in the present moment?
Mm. Yeah. Well, we all have to step back, in this societal structure. We work for the future.
Mm,
There's no now moment. And people are afraid to be in the now moment too. We
yeah.
are always thinking ahead, how to deal with this for the future, how to finish this assignment by the deadline, you know. And people are afraid to stop and really feel what you're really, really feeling. In that destructive pattern, you tend to ignore what you're really feeling. Like, even just a simple thing, what do you really, really want to eat right now,
Mhm.
or what your body really wants to do right now. Take a nap, but you just can't if you're working 9 to 5, rushing for the future.
Yeah.
And so there's always this disconnect. So I think that's why many people are, stop working from like 9 to 5 work to, really realizing and going to like spiritual retreat to kind of, just stop everything and, find some connection, to yourself. So stop doing things, create the space and time just for yourself and listen what you're feeling, what body needs, what do you want to eat, what do you really want to do, what brings joy, all of that. And many of the people who are so disconnected, they have no clue in the beginning.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know what I want to do. And I feel for me, it's the nature.
Mm,
So,
mhm. Yeah.
mm-hmm,
I think it's so important to find what really feeds your soul, and I think it's gonna be so uniquely different for everybody,
everyone.
and, for some people, it's the creativity, maybe it's, like, creating music or art or even writing or even being in nature. I totally agree. Or, for some people, it's, um, driving in a car sometimes,
Mm-hmm,
it's just like where you get into your zone or you get into what I call timelessness. It's like time just flies when you're
mm-hmm,
doing something you absolutely love and you get lost in time and place.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that that's like a definition of being in the present moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah. It could show up in any way. Just being mother and playing with your child, or cooking, Um, there's no like divine, like what do I need to be doing? What is my divine purpose? And it's not separate from that. It's right here, right now.
agreed. Yeah.
Everyday life, this moment is divine. So how can we, be like that in every moment?
No, that's so true. And I think we forget. And, so much has happened in our world over the last, 5 years. There was a pandemic and we, moved through that and we're, thank God, on the other side of it. But yet it was almost like a grand reset to some
Hmm.
degree
Yeah.
for many people. And I
Hmm.
think the realization is that, the importance of, you know, being true to yourself, taking your power back, but also being aware and mindful of our sovereignty.
Hmm. Definitely.
Yeah.
We are our own healer, and actually we are our own mother and father too. It's
Yeah.
like we are everything that we can give to ourselves. And once we know that, we create, the health, abundance, all of
Mhm.
that. It's just comes natural. There's nothing to work for it. But the work that is just to pay attention and reconnect with everything inside of us. And
Very,
that's a
very true.
process.
Oh, it is. And, I think you really, you know, surmised it very well. We are our own healers. We are our own parents. We are our own, lifeline, if you want to call it that. So many times we think it's outside of ourselves, but it's not. We have all the answers we need within ourselves. It seems to be so important to establish that relationship to have with yourself in order to access that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And yeah, so when you have a headache, for example, there's so many reasons that you have headache. And you don't just pop into the Tylenol and get over it. No, 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 you have to listen. What's happening might be not really digesting in the stomach, or you must be nervous about something, and where is that coming from. Even just a little cut on the finger. Which finger did you cut? Because every finger represents something. Like there's one
Sure,
time
sure.
I was blaming on my neighbor for making me feel like really grumpy, for example. And that day I
Mhm.
cut this finger on the right side, pointing finger, right? Just blaming. So
Ah,
it's like really, once you pay attention, it becomes more and more obvious. And just to have that
yeah.
non-judgmental observation, like, oh, so sorry, finger, and I really need to go back to myself, and what was I blaming on, and not really
Mhm.
looking within, because you can't blame on outside, it's inside of you, right? So.
That's true. And, I think that sometimes that's a very difficult concept for a lot of people to
Mm.
grasp, but things are so interconnected that we have no idea, but it's so true. And the work of Louise Hay, she talked about healing your body and talking about different systems and different affirmations associated and different organ systems associated with different you know illnesses. Of course, she's passed away, but she was very instrumental in the last 50 years to the movement of looking at the mind body connection and how our body and our thoughts and our emotions are all
Mhm.
interconnected. So, yeah. So, HaRuKo, any last words you'd like to share with our audience?
Well, we we really need to take care of ourselves, but also to love ourselves. Means like we
Mm.
really want to discover who we really are. And for example, people say, "Oh, I'm just a be mother, I'm just a mother," And but I draw her, for example, her soul essence portrait, and she's out there, huge aspect of herself. For example, taking care and birthing different life on different star system. For example, we are doing so much more than here, but also what we do here on the earth in this body also affect that big part of us too. So it's like all interconnected. So,
Yeah.
in the spiritual teaching, sometimes you want to go outside and just want to be blissed out and, see this
Hmm.
divine aspect of who we are is amazing. And forget about this human part, to really merge that, like, oh my gosh, what I'm doing right now to my child is also affecting hugely to outer galaxy. And so
Yep.
it's that expanded awareness is also important and grounded in here, merging with it,
Yeah.
and bring that mm, you know uh, how do I say, the gratitude for this life, of infinite possibility that we are carrying within, that we don't even know the magic that we are. And just be wonder, be grateful and be childlike wonder, like, oh wow, this is the magic here. And live like that, washing dishes, all of that, there's so much magic in this everyday life, in this human body, yet so connected to many galaxies and beyond.
Agreed. Agreed. So, HaRuKo, thank you so much for being part of our show today. I have HaRuKo's information here for anybody who wants to get in touch with her. It's Blue Star Child 1111 at gmail.com. And she also has the Blue Star Child Gallery.com, and that's in Mount Shasta. And like I said, if you ever get to Mount Shasta, definitely look her up and go to her gallery. It's just an amazing experience. And just look at, you see an example of behind her of what her art's like, but when you stand in front of it, you could really feel the energetics of it. It's just amazing. So, HaRuKo, thank you so very much. And I just want to thank the audience for tuning in. And if you like what you hear on our show, I invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Dr. Fazzino. And also, if you find that you are having a problem staying in the present moment, we know that's a big issue. I have a free gift for you, and it's a guided meditation to help you stay in the present moment. It's a short 5-minute guided meditation, and you will really feel the difference after you do that of where you had been to where you are now, grounded in the present, right here, right now. And you could access that at my website, drdoloresfazzino.com/free-video. So, once again, thank you, HaRuKo, for being part of the show. And once again, audience, stay tuned next time for another episode of Healing in Ways You Never Thought Possible with another amazing guest on our Miraculous Healing series. Bye
Thank
now.
you. Thank you, Doris.